We are here with Asher, one of my friends. He just recently won the store championship for a second time for Grand Archive. So today we're going to be doing a deck tech on his Fire Merlin deck. How do you feel about this deck, and how did it do for you at the store championship?
I like the deck. It's a pretty standard deck. I played a lot of decks this format. I built Fire Merlin, I built Fire Rye, I built Prismatic Merlin, I built Wind Allies, I built Water Allies. I played all around this meta, and then I ended up just coming right back to Fire Merlin because it just felt stable and solid. You know, a consistent deck. Some decks can high roll more. This one, very consistent.
Nice, and then we can see you got the two nationals invites right there out here killing it. Got the store championship playmat. All right, let's get into the deck. So what are some? Let's go over the regalia first.
Yeah, so this is a Fire Merlin deck. Nothing new there. You go into level 1 Lorraine, level 2 Merlin, level 3 Merlin. Majestic Spirit, you gotta play it. It's one of the best cards in the deck. Prismatic Edge, Drawn Blade, and Sword of Seeking are the 3 swords that we choose to run.
Is there anything like of this package that you would change at all, or is this just the most consistent?
I like playing these swords. Some people run like Ornamental Greatsword instead of maybe like the Drawn Blade, or like instead of Sword of Seeking. Some people run more swords. I think 3 is enough. You want the Drawn Blade for the draw. Some people might not play the Prismatic Sword in like a normal Fire Merlin, but I think it's pretty good for closing out games. You can kind of just turn 2 cards into 6 damage. It helps a lot.
Oh,
and when you're not doing fire mirrors, you get a lot more value out of it.
Makes sense.
So then we've got Grand Crusader Ring.
Broken.
It goes in every deck. Yeah, every deck ever. This is a little extra spice we have in there. We've got the level 1 Rye. This turns on some of our mage class bonus cards early if we need them. This is specific against like ally decks that are going to try to run us down early, and when we have the cards in hand, we want to be able to use them to kill their units, so we go into level 1 Rye. You know, it's not going to happen every time, but when you need it, it's there.
Did it come up for you at all in the store championship?
It did come up once. There was one game I was able to clear some board because I went into level 1 Rye first.
Nice.
Then we've got Crystal of Empowerment. This card's busted. Should probably get banned. They've been talking about banning it. They probably just should. It's going in like every deck. Then we've got Tariff Ring. Another piece to just slow down unit-based aggression. Sometimes it'll get, you know, if they can get you early, then you'll lose. But if you can make it to late game, you'll usually stabilize.
Mm-hmm. And how different would you say that this regalia is compared to other Fire Merlin that you've seen? Is this pretty standard, or?
The only part that people don't usually play is the level 1 Rye. This is pretty standard for the most part. Instead of this, usually people have some like draw piece, something to just get them more cards.
Did you just feel like you didn't need that?
Yeah, not particularly. Usually there's enough draw just with the deck, with Merlin's ability, GCR, Drawn Blade, that you don't really need it.
Nice.
And you know, this you know did end up helping. So
perfect. All right, let's move over to the main deck.
So we've got just our standard floating memory package, Fast Cure, Honorable Vanguards, Stalwart Shield Maiden, and Flame Rune Swordsman.
Nice. So you got 16 floating memory cards.
Yeah, 16 floating memory. Pretty standard number. I think it's a good number. Some people go less. But I think the 16 works out pretty well to how consistently you want to be seeing it every game. For fire, at least. Water runs a lot more. We've got 4 Dungeon Guide, as every level 3 deck is always going to run 4 Dungeon Guide. Standard. We've got Hasty Messenger, standard cycle.
Mm-hmm. I've been playing a little bit, and I don't know much, but all I know from the little that I have played is that Hasty Messenger seems really strong, just giving you that graveyard fill
It's incredibly powerful. It's definitely just like kill on sight. You can't let a fire deck have that for multiple turns.
Yeah.
Then we've got Creative Shock, another one of those great graveyard fill cards. You can just cycle this floating memory into your graveyard. You can see more cards. It's a neutral. It's not even like a -1, and you just get to see what you need to see. And then you've got Cremation Ritual, also good at just getting those floating memory allies into the graveyard and then just going neutral on it, which is really just a plus because you still get to use that floating memory. And we go on to basically like the core bread and butter late game. We've got 4 Majestic Spirit, our Incarnate Majesties. To grab our Majestic Spirit, we've got 4 Pendragon. Some people run 3. 4 is pretty good in my opinion. We've got 4 Fireball. And then I play 3 Devastating Blow. Not a lot of people play Devastating Blow. People got onto Sudden Steal for quite a while, and I don't think Sudden Steal is a bad card, but I think in Fire, this is just a better option because Devastating Blow plus a Merlin activation and a sword will outright kill a Majestic Spirit. Whereas Sudden Steal, you need Merlin to be activated and you need Prismatic Edge to kill Majestic Spirit as well. Devastating Blow, a lot of people don't remember that this says that they can't retaliate. So you're just saving yourself 4 health. I've killed dragons with this. I killed some really big like Tamer allies. I've just closed out games against Rye because I had this damage that was just fast enough. Like when you need to go faster, Devastating Blow is faster than Fireball. And it just gets there.
Nice. And then, so there's some more cards. Make some room here. Do you think that like Devastating Blow helped you in the Store Championship a lot, or was it more of just like something that you tried out and didn't?
Devastating Blow is the reason I won the Store Championship. I wouldn't have even made it to top cut without Devastating Blow. I was pretty much dead to rights against a Rye. Somehow we tied the setup 1-1, and the Fire Rye could only get me to 27 health, or 27 damage. So I had 1 health left, and I was able to use Devastating Blow along with a Fireball to just kill him from like 2 or 3. And I had to kill him that turn or else I was out. And then it just did really good consistent damage in the finals. I was able to just get rid of dragons. I was able to, or not dragons, Majestic Spirits, and put a lot of damage just out of nowhere. You know, people don't really expect to just go, oh, I'll take 10.
Yeah, seems pretty good. It is also a Guardian card, so you know.
It is a Guardian card.
Set 3, baby.
Guardian likes to do some big attacks. I'm looking forward to that. So last, we've just got some kind of utility and removal choices. For Focused Flames, this is like the most common one. And then this is the one that people have been like on and off of. I really like the Incendiary Fractals, and this is one of the reasons we play the level 1 Rye, is because when someone puts down some big butt units, got that 4 toughness, and you don't have an increasing flame in hand, you know, maybe you've got some allies in hand, but without one of these cards, it's hard to deal 4 damage in the early game. And Incendiary Fractal, it ramps you a little bit, you know, you get that increased value of it just being a fractal on board for the rest of the game, and you take out a 4 cost. Works pretty well.
Seems good.
Yeah. And then we run 3 Verucan Acolytes. It's just really good value. You know, you don't have to worry about getting rid of like Nullifying Lantern in this deck, but you know, you can kill their swords, kill if they grab a Crystal of Empowerment early, you can just force them to blow it up. You can get rid of Tariff Rings if they don't use it right away. You know, there's just a lot of value to be had with Verucans. Crazy good card. And then we play 4 Resolute Stands because you really just need whatever you can to survive against those ally decks until you can stabilize.
And then let's move on to the sideboard.
Yeah, sideboard. We've got Viridian Protective Trinket because we hate water out here.
That sounds correct.
Water can really just try to mess with you, and on the turns that you're trying to seal out the game, being able to just tell them that they don't get to play their Frostbind that they're holding up 3 cards for is exactly what you want. Tithe Proclamation. Usually you don't want to play this that often because it's going to slow you down, but sometimes if you get ahead either versus a Merlin or a Rye and then drop this down, you just stop them from being able to accelerate. And then finally, little spicy piece, Chalice of Blood. You're really only gonna get this to work once, because as soon as you tell someone that this is in your deck, they're just gonna set you to 19 or try to kill you that turn. Like, it's, you know, it's a little cheeky, but I've gotten it off a couple times, and it's very powerful if you can get it off. There's a reason, like, every Rye deck will play this.
Is it pretty good in, like, the game 2 of a match?
Yeah, so you don't play, you know, you play it in the sideboard because you don't want to play it game 1, and then in game 2, you're like, okay, well, I can take something else out, put this in, and if they put me to 20, I'm going to get big value. The rest of the sideboard is pretty much just teched for, like, the Merlin mirror matchups. 3 Disintegrate. Takes out Majestic Spirits. Takes out Tithe Proclamations if you need to. And then 2 Blanche. This is for playing against Fire Merlin and Fire Rye. It's pretty much, you know, you don't want to die to those Arcane Blasts. You don't want to die to the Fireballs. Blanche saved me in a game as well. Rye was trying to go off with an Arcane Blast. I placed down Blanche. They Fireball my Blanche once it hits the table, and I take full damage from the Arcane Blast, but then they go to do their math, realize that they're short because they had to expend a whole Fireball on my Blanche.
Nice.
It just gets there sometimes.
Nice. Well, thanks for sharing the deck. What was your hardest matchup?
Rye is definitely a tough matchup. That's usually a matchup that you are expected to lose just because they're so fast. They don't do unit-based damage, and they can just kind of blow you up. But in the finals, I played Water Merlin, and it's not an easy matchup. Merlin versus Merlin is definitely a game of, like, who can see their dungeon guides more, and kind of who can get their Majestic Spirits out faster. But Water Merlin is a surprisingly good deck as well, hard to play against, but I was able to come out on top with this one.
Nice. Now, your deck building is very interesting, but is there anything that you did in the tournament or have done in just at locals or any other big tournaments? Is there any strategy that you've implemented with this deck to make it work for you?
I mean, I've tested a lot of different variants of this deck. I've tried playing, 4 Verucan, 4 Cremation Ritual, less Pendragons, less Incarnates. I really kind of wanted something that was very consistent because, consistency is key most of all. But I kind of saw that the meta was circling back around. People played a lot of Merlin, and then to counter Merlin, people played a lot of Rye, and then to counter Rye, people played a lot of ally decks. That's kind of what I was expecting, so I'm teched a little more into the ally decks. I know some people will like mainboard Blanched so that they don't lose against Rye, but I think sideboard's good enough. I brought back in the fractals for the allied decks, even though people were cutting them for other cards. But, it's not too far off a kind of standard fire list. I think it's just a little bit of your ratio choices based on what you're looking to see more. Things you want to see, like 2 of every game, something you maybe only want to see 1 of every game. You know, a little different of choice in Regalia.
Nice. Well, thanks for sharing the deck, and we hope to see your performance at Houston.
Yeah, hopefully. I'm hoping to, at the very least, make day 2.
Mm-hmm. We'll have to see how Alchemical Revolution changes the meta.
I think it'll shake it up a lot.
Any shout outs that you would like to provide to anyone?
Shout out Mox Valley Games, obviously.
Hell yeah.
That's my home LGS. I work there. I'm a big pusher of Grand Archive there. Really enjoy the game. Going to be demoing the game up at SakuraCon in March. That'll be a lot of fun. And, you know, shout out to all the homies that I play test with pretty much every week.
Sick.